The alarm bells rang loud across the Zephyrian Deep Space Monitoring Station. Commander Valktar rushed from his office to the main control room, his 6 arms moving quickly to steady himself as he ran. The station had been quiet for months, watching empty space near the galaxy's edge. Nothing ever happened out here. That was the point. What is going on? Valktar asked as he entered the control room. His crew looked scared. In his 40 years of service, he had never seen them like this. Lieutenant Kexmal turned from her screen, her blue skin pale with worry. "Sir, we are getting a signal from Sector 7. It should not be possible." Valktar moved to the main display screen. Numbers and symbols filled the screen, but they made no sense to him. "What kind of signal?" "Mathematical patterns, sir. Very complex ones. The computer says they match old human technology signatures from our database." The room went silent. Every alien on the station knew about humans. They had learned about them in school. Humans were the violent species that destroyed themselves 1,000 years ago. Their home planet Earth had burned in nuclear fire. The galaxy was safer without them. "That cannot be right," Valktar said. "Run the scan again. Check for errors." Lieutenant Kex Mol worked at her controls for several minutes. Other crew members gathered around, watching the screens. The same patterns appeared again and again. "Sir, there is more," said Operator Dexon from across the room. "Long-range sensors are picking up something big, very big." Valktar walked over to Dexon's station. The sensor display showed a massive object appearing at the edge of their scanning range. It was larger than any ship in the Confederation fleet, larger than any station. It seemed to be coming out of empty space itself. "How big is it?" Valktar asked. 30 kilometers long, sir. Maybe more. The sensors are having trouble getting exact readings. Dr. Zexui entered the control room. She was the station's expert on old alien cultures and dead species. Her people, the Kethron, had excellent memories and could remember things that happened thousands of years ago. "Commander, I heard the alarm. What do you need me to look at?" Valktar pointed to the signal patterns on the main screen. "These mathematical signatures. My crew says they match human technology. Tell me they are wrong." Dr. Zexui studied the patterns for a long time. Her large eyes moved back and forth across the screen. She made small noises as she worked, the way her people did when they were thinking hard. "Commander, these are human patterns. But they are not the same as the ones in our historical records." "What do you mean?" "The humans we remember had simple mathematics, basic technology. These patterns are much more complex, much more advanced." She paused and looked at Valktar with worry. "If humans made these signals, they have learned things we do not understand." The main screen suddenly changed. New contacts appeared on the sensor display. 1 became 2. 2 became 5. 5 became 10. "Commander," Dexon called out, "more objects are appearing, all around the galaxy's edge. They are all the same size as the first one." Valktar felt his blood turn cold. The Confederation controlled 12 star systems with thousands of worlds. Their military was the strongest in the galaxy. But if these objects were really human ships, and if they were as advanced as the signals suggested, then everything had changed. "How many objects total?" he asked. "Counting now, sir. 23? No, 27. Still more appearing." Lieutenant Kexmal looked up from her station. "Sir, I am getting something else. Energy readings from the objects. The power levels are enormous, much higher than our biggest ships. Are they weapons?" "I cannot tell, sir. The energy patterns are unlike anything in our database." Dr. Zexui moved to another computer and began typing quickly. "Commander, I am checking the historical records about human extinction. Something is not right." "What do you mean, not right?" The records say humans destroyed themselves on Earth in the year 3087. Nuclear war. Complete destruction. But I am finding references to human colonies on other worlds. What happened to those colonies? Velktar knew the answer, but he did not want to say it out loud. Every military officer in the Confederation knew the truth about the Great Purge. It was not taught in schools, and civilians were not told about it. But the military remembered. The colonies were destroyed, he said quietly, by Confederation forces. It was decided that humans were too dangerous to live. The room became very quiet. The young crew members had never heard this before. They looked shocked. "Sir," said Dexon, "if humans survived somewhere else, and if they have been hiding for 1,000 years, then they have had 1,000 years to grow stronger," Velktar finished. "And they probably know what we did to their people." The objects on the sensor display remained still. They were not moving toward any Confederation worlds. They were not sending messages. They were just there, waiting. "What are they doing?" asked Lieutenant Kexmal. "Watching us," said Dr. Zexui. "The same way we watched them before we tried to destroy them." Commander Velktar walked to the communication station. "Send an emergency message to Confederation. Command, tell them we have detected unknown objects of possible human origin. Request immediate instructions." "Sir, should we try to contact the objects directly?" Velktar thought about this. If these were really human ships, and if humans were still angry about what happened to their species, then making contact could be very dangerous. But ignoring them might be even worse. "Not yet. We wait for orders from command." Hours passed. The objects remained in position. More appeared throughout the day. By evening, the station's sensors had detected over 50 massive ships positioned around the galaxy. Each one was silent. Each one waited. The response from Confederation Command finally arrived. Velktar read the message twice before sharing it with his crew. "All stations are ordered to maintain observation only. Do not attempt contact. Do not approach the objects. Military fleets are being moved to defensive positions around major worlds." "Sir?" asked Lieutenant Kexmal. "What do you think they want?" Velktar looked at the display screen showing the massive ships. After 1,000 years, humanity had returned. They had technology the Confederation did not understand. They had power that made the galaxy's greatest military look weak. "I think they want what anyone would want after their people were almost destroyed," he said. "They want answers. They want justice. And they want to make sure it never happens again." The station continued its watch through the night. The human ships remained silent, but their presence changed everything. The galaxy that had lived in peace for 1,000 years was about to learn that some things cannot be forgotten. Some species cannot be destroyed. And some mistakes cannot be undone. In the morning, new reports came from across the galaxy. The objects were scanning Confederation worlds. They were studying military bases and government centers. They were learning everything about the civilization that had tried to wipe them out. The humans were back, and they were preparing for something big. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Ascendant Dawn and watched the stars bend around them. The ship moved through space in ways that should not be possible. Reality twisted and folded as they traveled between dimensions that normal beings could not see or understand. "Captain, we are approaching the target sector," said Lieutenant Commander Lisa Harper from her position at the navigation station. Her voice was calm, but Jake could hear the excitement underneath. After 1,000 years of exile, they were finally going home. Jake nodded and walked to the main viewing screen. The stars looked different now, brighter, more alive. His eyes had changed during the long exile in the quantum dimensions. All humans had changed. They could see things that other species could not see. They could understand patterns that others found impossible. What do our sensors show? Jake asked. Chief Science Officer Dr. Ben Carter looked up from his instruments. 12 major star systems under Confederation control. Approximately 4,000 inhabited worlds. Population in the trillions across multiple species. And they still think we are extinct? Yes, Captain. Our monitoring probes have been listening to their communications for months. Their history books say that humans destroyed themselves in nuclear war 1,000 years ago. They believe Earth burned and that all human colonies were abandoned. Lisa Harper turned from her station. They do not mention the purge at all in their public records. The systematic destruction of our colonies. The murder of billions of our people. They have hidden the truth from their own citizens. Jake felt the old anger rise in his chest, but he pushed it down. Anger was a human emotion from the old days, before they learned to control such things. During their exile in the quantum dimensions, humans had learned to master not just technology, but their own minds and bodies. Show me the data from our scout ships, Jake said. Dr. Carter activated the main display. Images appeared showing Confederation worlds, military bases, and government centers. The technology looked primitive compared to what humanity had developed during their exile. Their fastest ships can barely reach light speed, Dr. Carter explained. Their weapons use simple energy beams and explosive projectiles. Their computers are basic digital systems. And they have no understanding of dimensional physics? None at all, Captain. They exist in only 3 dimensions. They cannot even imagine the places we have been or the things we have learned. Jake walked around the bridge, looking at his crew. Each person showed the signs of their transformation. Their skin seemed to glow with inner light. Their movements were fluid and graceful, like dancers moving through water. Most striking were their eyes. Each person's eyes held depths that seemed to contain entire galaxies. Dr. Carter, explain to me again what we have become. Dr. Carter stood and moved to the center of the bridge. As he spoke, his words created visible patterns in the air around him, mathematical equations that danced with light and energy. During our exile in the quantum dimensions, we did not just survive, we evolved. Our minds expanded to understand reality at levels that we never imagined possible. We can manipulate matter by thinking about it. We can fold space and time like paper. Our consciousness can exist in multiple dimensions at the same time. And our bodies? Our cells have been changed by exposure to quantum energy. We age very slowly now. Disease cannot touch us. We can survive in environments that would kill our ancestors. Some of us can exist as pure energy when needed. Lisa Harper activated her personal display. Captain, I have been studying the Confederation military structure. They have tried to prepare for our return, but they do not understand what they are facing. Show me. The display showed massive fleets of alien warships moving into defensive positions around major worlds. Thousands of ships with weapons pointed toward the edges of their territory. They think we will attack like we did in the old days, Lisa continued, with ships and weapons and armies. They are preparing for the kind of war that humans used to fight. Jake smiled. They do not understand that we are not the same species that left this galaxy 1,000 years ago. No, Captain. To them, we are still the primitive, violent humans they remember from their history books. Dr. Carter moved to another control station. Captain, our deep scans of their world show something interesting. The Confederation is not as united as they pretend to be. Several member species are unhappy with the current leadership. There are tensions between different groups. Explain. The Drakmari control most of the military. The Zephyrians control the government. The other 10 species have less power and are sometimes treated badly. If we handle this correctly, we might be able to split them apart without fighting a war. Jake considered this information. The old humans would have attacked immediately, seeking revenge for the genocide of their people. But the new humans understood that violence was not always the best solution. Sometimes, intelligence and patience could achieve more than weapons. What about our people who stayed behind? Jake asked. Lisa Harper's expression became sad. The monitoring probes found evidence of hidden human settlements on 12 worlds. Small groups that survived the purge by hiding in remote locations. They have been living in secret for 1,000 years, afraid to reveal themselves. Are they still alive? Yes, Captain. But they are still baseline humans. They did not go through the transformation that we experienced in the quantum dimensions. They are like our ancestors were before the exile. Jake felt a deep sadness for his people, who had suffered alone while others traveled to impossible places and became something greater. Those humans had lived in fear and hiding while their cousins learned to reshape reality itself. We will bring them home, Jake said, all of them. Dr. Carter activated another display. Captain, I have completed the analysis of Confederation technology and biology. If we wanted to, we could disable their entire civilization without killing anyone. We could transport their fleets into empty space. We could shut down their power systems. We could even make their weapons stop working. But that is not our goal. No, Captain. Our goal is to reclaim our place in this galaxy and make sure that no species ever tries to commit genocide again. Jake walked to the large viewing screen that showed the stars ahead of them. Somewhere in that direction was Earth, the world where humanity had been born, the world that the Confederation thought was a burned wasteland. Dr. Carter, what did our probes find when they reached Earth? The planet is healing, Captain. The radiation is almost gone. Plant and animal life is returning. The cities are ruins, but the world itself is becoming beautiful again. Good. We will rebuild there when this is finished. Lieutenant Commander Harper moved to stand beside Jake. Captain, the Confederation monitoring station in Sector 7 has detected our scout ships. They know we are here. Are they trying to communicate with us? No, Captain. They seem afraid. Their military fleets are moving into defensive positions, but they have not tried to make contact. Jake nodded. They are not sure what they are dealing with. They hope we are just a few survivors with old technology. They do not want to admit that they might have made a terrible mistake. What are your orders, Captain? Jake looked at his crew. These were humans who had traveled to dimensions beyond imagination. They had learned to control forces that could reshape galaxies. They had become something that the old humanity could never have dreamed of becoming. We make contact, Jake said, but we do it on our terms. We show them what we have become. We make them understand that the galaxy has changed and that humanity is no longer the weak species they tried to destroy. And if they refuse to accept us? Jake's eyes glowed with inner light as he smiled. Then we show them what happens when gods get angry. The Ascendant Dawn changed course, heading toward the heart of Confederation space. Behind them, dozens of other human ships followed. The exile was over. Humanity had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Admiral Kexron stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Confederation Glory, and watched his fleet take position around the Kepler Nexus. 500 warships spread out in perfect formation, their weapons charged and ready. This was the largest military force the Confederation had assembled in 200 years. Admiral, all ships report ready for battle, said his tactical officer, Commander Yexdal. We have enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Kexron nodded, but he felt uneasy. The intelligence reports from the monitoring stations made no sense. Massive ships appearing from empty space. Technology signatures that matched extinct human. Patterns. It should be impossible, but here they were, preparing to meet whatever had returned from the dead. Any word from the human ship? Kexron asked. They sent a single message, sir. They want to meet in neutral space to discuss terms. Terms for what? They did not say, Admiral. But they specified that only one ship would come to the meeting. Kexron laughed. One ship against our entire fleet? These humans must be even more foolish than the history books say. The main display screen suddenly showed a new contact approaching. Kexron expected to see an old human warship, maybe something they had hidden for 1,000 years. Instead, he saw something that made no sense. The ship was beautiful. It looked like it was made of crystallized light, with sections that seemed to exist in multiple places at the same time. It was smaller than most Confederation vessels, but it moved through space in ways that hurt to watch. Sometimes it was there, sometimes it was not, sometimes it seemed to be in several locations at once. What kind of ship is that? Kexron asked. Commander. Yexdal studied his instruments with confusion. Sir, our sensors cannot get clear readings. The ship seems to be phasing in and out of normal space. Energy readings are off the scale. Is it armed? I cannot tell, Admiral. The technology is unlike anything in our database. The human ship stopped exactly 1 kilometer away from the Confederation fleet. It made no threatening moves. It simply waited. Admiral, we are receiving a transmission, said the communications officer. Put it on the main screen. The screen flickered and showed the image of a human woman. She looked like the humans from the old records, but there was something different about her. Her skin seemed to glow with soft light. Her eyes were deep and seemed to hold stars. When she moved, reality seemed to bend slightly around her. I am Ambassador Elena Rodriguez, speaking for humanity, the woman said. Her voice was calm and pleasant, but there was power underneath it that made several crew members step back from their stations. This is Admiral Kexron of the Confederation, Defense Force. You are in violation of galactic law by entering our territory without permission. Ambassador Rodriguez smiled, and the smile sent chills through everyone who saw it. Galactic law? How interesting. Does that law include the systematic murder of entire species? Kexron felt his confidence wavering. I do not know what you are talking about. Humans destroyed themselves 1,000 years ago. Everyone knows this. Do they? Tell me, Admiral, what happened to the human colonies on Kepler Prime? Or the research stations in the Outer Spiral? Or the civilian settlements on New Geneva? The bridge became very quiet. Kexron knew exactly what had happened to those places. Every military officer above a certain rank knew about the Great Purge, but it was classified information, hidden from civilian populations. Those colonies were abandoned when Earth fell, Kexron said, but his voice was not as strong as before. Abandoned? Or destroyed by Confederation warships, carrying weapons designed specifically to kill humans. Commander Yexdal leaned close to Kexron and whispered, Sir, how does she know about classified military operations? Ambassador Rodriguez seemed to hear the whisper, even though it should have been impossible across the vacuum of space. We know many things, Commander. We know that the Confederation decided humans were too dangerous to be allowed to live. We know that you hunted down every human settlement you could find. We know that you tried to commit genocide against our entire species. Even if that were true, Kexron said, it happened 1,000 years ago. Everyone involved is long dead. True, but the Confederation still exists. The same government that ordered our extinction still rules this galaxy. And now we have returned to discuss what should be done about that. Kexron had heard enough. These humans might have advanced technology, but they were still outnumbered 500 to 1. This conversation is over. You will surrender your ship and submit to Confederation authority, or we will destroy you. Ambassador Rodriguez looked sad. You still do not understand what you are dealing with, do you? I understand that you are one ship facing my entire fleet. Admiral, may I show you something? Before Kexron could answer, Ambassador Rodriguez raised her hand. The space around her seemed to shimmer and bend. Suddenly, she was standing on the bridge of the Confederation Glory, even though she had been on her own ship a moment before. The bridge crew jumped back in shock. Several guards reached for their weapons, but their hands moved slowly, as if they were underwater. "How did you get here?" Kexron demanded. "I walked through the spaces between dimensions," Rodriguez said calmly. "It is a simple technique that humans learned during our exile. Impossible. Matter transport through vacuum is impossible. Many things are impossible, Admiral, until they are not." Rodriguez walked around the bridge, looking at the instruments and displays. As she moved, the air around her sparkled with energy that made the ship's systems flicker. "Guards, arrest her!" Kexron shouted. The guards tried to move toward Rodriguez, but they found themselves unable to take steps. They could move their arms and heads, but their feet would not obey them. "I have temporarily disconnected their motor functions from their nervous systems," Rodriguez explained. "Do not worry. They are not harmed. This will wear off in a few minutes." Kexron felt true fear for the first time in his military career. "What do you want?" "We want recognition that humanity has the right to exist in this galaxy. We want reparations for the billions of our people who were murdered. We want guarantees that genocide will never be attempted again against any species. And if we refuse?" Rodriguez walked to the main display screen and touched it with one finger. The screen showed tactical displays of the entire Confederation fleet. "Then we will be forced to demonstrate why refusing is not a wise choice. You cannot fight 500 ships with one vessel. Admiral, you still think in the old ways. You believe that war is about numbers of ships and weapons. You do not understand what humanity has become." Rodriguez spoke a single word in an ancient human language. The word seemed to vibrate through the ship and into space itself. Suddenly, every screen on the bridge showed the same thing. The entire Confederation fleet was no longer in normal space. They were floating in a strange dimension where the stars looked different and reality seemed fluid. "Where are we?" Kexron asked. "You are in a pocket dimension that I created just now. Time moves differently here. Your ships are safe, but they cannot leave until I allow it." Commander Yexdal checked his instruments frantically. "Admiral, our weapons are not working. Our engines are not responding. Even our communications are down. This is impossible." Kexron said, "No, Admiral. This is what happens when a species spends 1,000 years learning to manipulate reality itself. We have had a very long time to study the nature of existence. We have learned to bend space, time, matter, and energy to our will." Rodriguez walked back to stand in front of Kexron. "Your fleet is the pride of the Confederation military. 500 of your best ships with your most advanced weapons. To us, they are like toys made by children. What do you want us to do? Accept our terms. Acknowledge that humanity has returned and has the right to reclaim our place in this galaxy. Make reparations for the crimes committed against our people. Help us build a new kind of civilization where genocide is impossible. And if we agree to this, then your ships will be returned to normal space, and we can begin negotiations for a peaceful future. And if we refuse?" Rodriguez smiled again, and this time the smile was cold. "Then you will learn what happens when gods decide that mortals have gone too far." Admiral Kexron looked around his bridge at his crew, who were staring at displays showing impossible things. He thought about his 500 ships, trapped in a dimension that should not exist by technology that should not be possible. For the first time in Confederation history, their greatest military force was completely helpless. "I will need to contact my government," Kexron said quietly. "Of course. You have 24 hours to give us an answer." Rodriguez raised her hand again and vanished, returning to her own ship as easily as she had arrived. The Confederation fleet remained trapped. in the pocket dimension, waiting to learn if their civilization would choose wisdom or destruction. General Marcus Webb stood on the command deck of the human vessel, Eternal Justice, and watched the Confederation's military infrastructure crumble before him. It had been 3 days since Admiral Kexron's fleet was trapped in the pocket dimension. 3 days since the Confederation Council rejected humanity's peaceful terms. 3 days since humanity decided to show the galaxy what 1,000 years of evolution could accomplish. General, the Drakmari Fourth Fleet has been neutralized, reported Colonel Amy Chun from her tactical station. All 200 ships have been relocated to the Kepler Nebula. No casualties as ordered, Marcus nodded. Unlike the brutal purge that humanity had once suffered, this campaign was surgical and precise. Human forces appeared where they chose, disabled enemy vessels without killing their crews, and vanished before any response was possible. What about the defense platforms around Drakmari Prime? Marcus asked. Deactivated, sir. We used quantum field manipulation to shut down their power cores. The platforms are intact, but completely useless. Marcus walked to the large viewing screen. That showed the Drakmari home world. The planet was beautiful, with blue oceans and green continents. It was home to 6 billion Drakmari citizens who had no idea that their government had once tried to destroy an entire species. Colonel, open a communication channel to the Drakmari High Command. The screen flickered and showed General Vexthol, the Supreme Commander of Drakmari military forces. The alien's red scales were pale with fear, and his multiple eyes darted nervously around his command center. General Webb, please, we surrender. Our fleets are helpless against your technology. We cannot fight beings who can appear and disappear at will. Marcus studied the alien commander. The Drakmari had been humanity's greatest enemy during the Purge. Their ships had destroyed more human colonies than any other species. But looking at General Vexthol now, Marcus saw only a frightened being who was beginning to understand the magnitude of what his people had done. General Vexthol, I want you to understand something. We could have destroyed your entire civilization in the first hour of this campaign. We could have made your planet uninhabitable. We could have erased your species from existence. Why did you not? Because we are not the same humans you tried to destroy. We learned during our exile that true strength comes from wisdom, not violence. We do not seek revenge. We seek justice. General Vexthol leaned forward in his chair. What do you want from us? Full records of all military operations against human targets during the Purge, names of commanders who gave orders, locations of mass graves, everything. And in return, your fleets will be returned to normal space. Your defense systems will be reactivated. Your people will be allowed to continue their lives. What about our government? Marcus smiled, but it was not a pleasant expression. Your government will need to make some changes. The leaders who ordered genocide cannot remain in power. Your people deserve better. The communication ended, and Colonel Chun turned from her station. General, we are receiving similar surrender messages from 8 other Confederation member species. Only the Zephyrians are still refusing to negotiate. Show me the tactical situation. The main screen displayed a map of the galaxy with colored symbols showing the positions of various fleets and installations. Most of the symbols were now marked as neutralized or surrendered. The Zephyrian Central Command is calling for a final stand at their capital system, Colonel Chun reported. They have gathered their remaining forces around Zephyr Prime, approximately 300 ships and orbital defense platforms. Do they really think they can stop us? No, sir. Intelligence reports suggest that the Zephyrian leadership knows they cannot win, but they believe that dying in battle is better than admitting they were wrong about the Purge. Marcus shook his head. The Zephyrians had always been proud and stubborn. They had led the Confederation for 800 years and could not accept that their time was ending. General, we are receiving a priority message from Dr. Rodriguez, Colonel Chun announced. The screen showed Ambassador Alina Rodriguez on the bridge of her diplomatic vessel. She looked tired but determined. Marcus, I have been in communication with resistance groups on 12 Confederation worlds. Many civilian populations are demanding that their governments accept our terms. What kind of resistance groups? Scientists, teachers, ordinary citizens who have learned the truth about the human purge. They are horrified by what was done in their names. Some are organizing protests. Others are demanding that war crimes tribunals be established. Marcus felt a surge of hope. The people are turning against their own governments? Not all of them, but many. The younger generations, especially. They never knew about the purge because it was hidden from them. Now that they know the truth, they want justice. What about the hidden human settlements we detected? Rodriguez's expression became sad. We have made contact with 11 groups. Small communities that have been hiding for 1,000 years. They are afraid to trust us at first, but when they see what we have become, they weep with joy. How many survivors? About 50,000 total, scattered across different worlds. They have kept human culture alive in secret. They still remember Earth, still tell stories about the old days. Marcus felt his heart ache for his people who had suffered in hiding while others traveled to impossible dimensions and became something greater. Are they safe? We are relocating them to secure locations. Some want to come with us to the new human territories. Others want to stay on their adopted worlds and live openly for the first time in centuries. Good. Make sure they have everything they need. The communication ended, and Marcus returned his attention to the tactical displays. The campaign was going better than expected. Most Confederation forces had surrendered without a fight once they realized the futility of resistance. Colonel, what is the status of Earth? Advance teams have completed their survey, sir. The planet is healing well. Radiation levels are almost normal. Plant and animal life is returning to areas that were dead for centuries. The old cities are ruins, but the foundations are sound. And the orbital facilities? We have begun construction of new space stations using our advanced technology. Within 6 months, Earth will be ready for large-scale colonization. Marcus walked to another viewing screen that showed images from Earth's surface. Green forests were growing where once there had been ash and radiation. Clear rivers flowed through valleys that had been poisoned for centuries. The planet that had given birth to humanity was becoming beautiful again. Sir, we are receiving a communication from the Kepler Nexus, Colonel Chon announced. It's Admiral Kexron. The screen showed the Confederation Admiral, still trapped in the pocket dimension with his fleet. He looked older and wearier than before. General Webb, I have been authorized by the Confederation Council to begin surrender negotiations. What changed their minds? The civilian populations are demanding answers about the purge. There are riots on 6 worlds. 2 planetary governments have been overthrown by their own people. The Council realizes that they cannot maintain control. If the truth continues to spread, Marcus nodded. What are you prepared to offer? Full disclosure of all purge operations. War crimes trials for surviving officers who participated. Reparations to be negotiated. Recognition of human sovereignty over any territories you choose to claim. And the Zephyrian leadership? Admiral Kexron's expression became grim. They are still refusing to surrender. They have declared that they will fight to the last ship rather than submit to human authority. Marcus sighed. The Zephyrians had been the architects of the purge, the species that had convinced others that humanity was too dangerous to live. They would not give up easily. Admiral, your fleet will be returned to normal space within the hour. You will escort our diplomatic team to the Confederation capital to begin formal negotiations. And the Zephyrians? Marcus looked at the tactical display, showing the enemy forces gathered around. Zephyr Prime, 300 ships and thousands of brave soldiers who believed they were defending their friend. Civilization from dangerous humans. We'll deal with them ourselves, Marcus said quietly. It is time they learned what happens when genocide fails. Commander Rachel Stone stood in the observation deck of the new Terra Institute and watched ships from 100 different worlds arrive for the dedication ceremony. 5 years had passed since humanity's return to the galaxy. 5 years since the Confederation surrendered and agreed to join the new Human Galactic Alliance. 5 years since the galaxy began to change. The space station was enormous, larger than any structure ever built by the old Confederation. It served as both a diplomatic center and a school where alien species could learn the technologies that humanity had developed during their exile. The station itself demonstrated human capabilities, built from materials that could exist in multiple dimensions and powered by energy drawn from the quantum realm. Commander, the Drakmari delegation has arrived, reported Lieutenant Tony Walsh. From the communications station, General Vexthil sends his greetings and thanks humanity again for the medical technology that saved his daughter's life. Rachel nodded. The Drakmari had been among the first to embrace the new alliance after humanity shared advanced medical treatments that could cure diseases thought incurable. General Vexthil, once humanity's greatest enemy, had become one of their strongest supporters after human doctors saved his child from a genetic disorder. What about the Zephyrian representatives? They arrived this morning, Commander. Former Admiral Kexron is leading their delegation. He asked to speak with you privately before the ceremony. Rachel walked to the main viewing window and looked out at the ships gathered around the station. Sleek human vessels moved alongside the more traditional designs of alien craft. The differences in technology were obvious, but both types of ships flew under the same banner now. Send Admiral Kexron to my office in 1 hour. I want to review the final preparations first. Rachel left the observation deck and walked through the corridors of the station. Humans and aliens worked together at every level, sharing knowledge and building something that neither could have created alone. The sight still amazed her sometimes. After 1,000 years of exile and centuries of hatred, different species were learning to trust each other. She entered her office to find Dr. Kevin Ross waiting for her. He was one of humanity's foremost experts on dimensional physics and the chief architect of their greatest project. Kevin, how are the final preparations going? Dr. Ross smiled and activated a holographic display that filled half the room. The display showed a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy with thousands of glowing points connected by flowing lines of energy. The quantum gateway network is 97% complete, Rachel. We have successfully connected over 4,000 worlds with instantaneous communication and transport links. Rachel studied the display with wonder. The network would allow anyone to travel from one side of the galaxy to the other in seconds. Messages that once took years to deliver could now be sent instantly. It was technology that would change civilization forever. Any problems with the alien representatives understanding how it works? Some of them struggle with the concepts at first, but they adapt quickly. The younger generation especially. Alien children who grow up learning our mathematics find dimensional physics almost intuitive. And the safety protocols? Completely secure. Only authorized personnel can activate the gateways, and we have built-in safeguards against misuse. No one will be able to use this technology for war or oppression. Rachel nodded. The network represented everything that humanity had learned about using power responsibly. They could have kept the technology to themselves, maintaining their advantage over other species. Instead, they chose to share it, creating a galaxy where distance and isolation were things of the past. A chime sounded, indicating that Admiral Kexron had arrived. Rachel dismissed the holographic display and prepared to meet with the alien who had once tried to destroy humanity's return. Kexron entered the office looking very different from the proud military commander he had been 5 years ago. His uniform bore the insignia of the new alliance rather than the old Confederation symbols. His manner was respectful, almost humble. "Commander Stone, thank you for seeing me. Please, sit down, Admiral. What did you want to discuss?" Kexron settled into a chair designed to accommodate his alien physiology. "I wanted to speak with you about my people's role in the new galaxy that you are creating. The Zephyrians have contributed greatly to the Alliance. Your scientists have made important discoveries by combining your knowledge with human technology." "Yes, but that is not what I mean." Kexron leaned forward, his expression serious. "Commander, my people were the architects of the human purge. We convinced other species that humanity was too dangerous to live. We led the campaign that tried to destroy your entire race." Rachel studied the alien commander. "That was 1,000 years ago, Admiral. Everyone who made those decisions is long dead. But the guilt remains. My people know what we did. We teach it in our schools now. Make sure that future generations understand the horror of genocide. But knowledge is not enough. We need to find a way to make amends." "What are you proposing?" Kexron stood and walked to the viewing window. "The Zephyrian Council has voted unanimously. We want to dedicate our entire civilization to serving the Alliance. Our worlds, our resources, our people, all of it placed at humanity's disposal to help build the new galaxy." Rachel was surprised. "Admiral, that is not necessary. The Alliance is based on equality, not servitude." "You do not understand, Commander. For 1,000 years, we believed we had saved the galaxy by destroying humanity. We were proud of what we had done. Now we know that we nearly destroyed the galaxy's greatest hope for advancement. We need to spend the rest of our existence making up for that mistake." Rachel stood and joined Kexron at the window. Outside, the ships of dozens of species moved in perfect harmony, their crews working together on projects that would benefit everyone. "Admiral, the best way to honor the humans who died is not through guilt or servitude. It is by helping to build a galaxy where such tragedies can never happen again. How do we do that? By continuing what we are already doing, teaching tolerance, sharing knowledge, creating connections between worlds that make war impossible. The Quantum Gateway Network is just the beginning." Kexron turned to face her. "What do you mean?" Rachel activated her personal display, showing an image of space beyond their galaxy. "Humanity's exploration of the quantum dimensions has revealed something incredible. We are not alone in the universe. There are other galaxies, other civilizations, some of them far more advanced than anything we have imagined. Are they hostile? We do not know yet, but we do know that they are aware of us. Our use of dimensional technology has attracted their attention. Soon, we will need to make contact with beings that make even evolved humanity seem primitive." Kexron's eyes widened with understanding. "You are preparing this entire galaxy for that contact?" "Yes, every species working together. Every world connected by the Gateway Network. Every civilization sharing knowledge and resources. When the time comes to meet these higher beings, we need to present ourselves as a unified galaxy, not as separate species fighting among themselves." "And if these beings are hostile?" Rachel smiled, and her eyes glowed with the inner light that all evolved humans possessed. "Then they will discover what happens when an entire galaxy learns to fight as one family." The ceremony began an hour later in the station's main assembly hall. Representatives from over 300 worlds gathered to witness the activation of the completed Quantum Gateway Network. Humans and aliens stood together as Dr. Ross initiated the final connections. "Network activation in 10 seconds. Dr. Ross announced. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Activation complete. The holographic display showed the entire galaxy lighting up as connections formed between every inhabited world. Cheers erupted from the assembled delegates as they realized they were witnessing the birth of a truly unified civilization. Rachel stood at the podium and looked out at the crowd of beings from dozens of different species. Each face, human and alien alike, showed hope for the future. Today, we complete the first phase of our great work, she said. We have connected every world in our galaxy with bonds of communication, trade, and friendship. Distance no longer divides us. Isolation is a thing of the past. She paused and looked directly at the human delegates, many of whom were survivors of the hidden colonies. 1,000 years ago, our people faced extinction. We were scattered, hunted, and nearly destroyed, but we survived. We grew stronger. We learned that true power comes not from dominance, but from unity. Now she addressed the alien delegates. You tried to destroy us because you feared what we might become. Today, you see what we actually became. Not conquerors, but teachers. Not destroyers, but builders. We offer you partnership in creating something greater than any of our species could achieve alone. The crowd rose in applause as Rachel concluded. Her speech. The galaxy that once celebrated humanity's extinction now looks to the stars with human guidance. We are ready to explore dimensions and possibilities that were previously unimaginable. Our exile has ended, but our greatest journey is just beginning. In the months that followed, the alliance continued to grow stronger. Trade flowed freely between worlds.